know that every bite you could take could be a bite of our near future? GMOs are rapidly increasing and moving into be more commonplace in our near future. Let's continue to learn about the GMOs and the impacts they have on our foods and make our own conclusions. Because the use of GMOs in our everyday life has become more daily, people look at GMOs without the look of good or bad. There are thousands of researchers constantly finding out new things about GMOs, and I've looked at their articles and research to make me credible to give this speech. I will be talking about the advancements in genetic engineering that have led to the creation of genetically modified organisms, GMOs, presenting both benefits and possible risks to areas such as agriculture, medicine, and health. GMOs, also known as genetically modified organisms, are exactly what it is described as. GMOs can be modified in many different ways, being mutating, inserting, or deleting genes. When people think of GMOs, they commonly think about GMOs being plants, but they also can be in animals or any other organisms. GMOs are used commonly in pharmaceutical research for medical treatments which help us advance. In an article by Abby Goldness, GMOs, What Are They?, says, more recently in 1973, the process of genetic engineering, which is the process of directly transferring DNA from one organism to another, was developed. This quote from the article gives you more detail of what a GMO is. The DNA from one organism can be very profitable for another if the receiving organism needs help or anything like that. GMOs used in medicine has been used for years on end. People don't regularly think about GMOs being used in medicine, but medicine as a whole is a GMO. Supplements that you take need to be genetically altered for your body, depending on the illness or disease you are overcoming. Now that we know what GMOs are, let's go more in depth of what the positives are. In the article, Genetically Modified Organisms by Boston University, it says, concurrent crops being sold in the food market were tested and approved by the FDA. Seeing that the FDA, also known as the Food and Drug Administration, passed GMOs to be sold and consumed, shows that they should be feasible for the humans or us to eat. Continuing on in the article about the amount of benefits there are to consuming GMOs, one of them is reduced risk of cancer for the consumption of lycopene that's found in genetically modified tomatoes. Another benefit is listed is golden rice that increases the vitamin A intake and also helps reduce the rates of childhood blindness. In the article, GMOs, What Are They? States plants, animals, and bacteria have been used since the 1980s, for instance, in the production of pharmaceutical drugs. GMOs are heavily used in the area of pharmaceutical drugs that have helped humans drastically with being able to come up with better solutions to illnesses. Continuing on in the article, the list of some drugs that have become an advantage to the healthcare system, including genetically modified bacteria that helps with the production of insulin. And then there's also a drug named Atrin, composed of goat's milk that clears up blood clots and is a cheaper alternative to other medicines. GMOs in animal agriculture. Time to consider both costs and benefits in regulatory evaluations by Van Enneman states a high proportion of soybeans, cotton, corn, canola, and other crops grown globally are genetically engineered. All these crops are commonly consumed not only by humans but also animals. We have looked at GMOs with both positive and negative effects at times, but yet don't know what we are eating in them. Continuing on in the article, GMOs that have been passed by the FDA have caused no negative effects to consumers that have consumed the GMO product. Most things that have come from the GMOs are improving the product of consumers, letting them gain more nutrients. While these past articles have shown us the positives in consuming GMOs, the next will be focusing on the negatives. Risks and Dangers of GMOs by Andy Rees states, in October 2000, in the US, GM Starling corn, approved only as animal feed, ended up in taco shells and other food products. It led to a massive recall of over 300 food brands. While this quote from the article says more about a mix-up rather than the actual GMO product, it still should be worried about that we are feeding animals products that are poisonous for humans to not be eaten while we have products from those animals. Further in the article, it states that we do not have any current major effects of GMOs, but we have no research of long-term effects of what they could do to the human body over a long course of time. In the article, GMOs or non-GMOs, the CRISPR conundrum by Ahmed et al., it states, GM crops having bacterial or insect genes have raised health concerns such as allergic reactions, which have been reported in humans in different countries. Some foreign countries don't have the regulations as the US does. So South Africa has some that they do not go in depth detailing of their GM products that are being produced. Their strict regulations in the US helps us to make sure it is healthy and will not cause effects, while in the other countries it will not. The side effects that have caused in other countries have caused almost near-death situations, with many being hurt by the GM crops that have not been grown under consumption regulations. A semi-quantitative approach to GMO risk-benefit analysis by Jane Morris includes, in various parts of the world, there are increasing calls for risk-benefit analysis to form an integral part of the GMO regulatory process. With the mass amounts of unknown GMOs, there are mass amounts of side effects. Foreign countries with weak regulations to pass a GMO product to the public can and will cause side effects. Continuing on in the article, Morris talks about the regulations that have been growing in South Africa as they're dealing with the creation of GMOs. Through my speech, I've talked about the advancements of GMOs and that they are always growing. I've also talked about the implications that the GMOs have had regarding the positives and negative effects. Now that you have a better understanding of GMOs and the benefits and risks, I hope you can conclude your own opinion on this subject. My name is Alex Hunson, and thank you for listening to my speech.